Okay, welcome back. We've done some videos. We are working with tools. We've done the wand tool where we get the little lines that once we outline shapes, we hit backspace like on the tree and it got rid of the background. Um, we have used the paint bucket where we have then added a new background color. We have used the clone tool a couple times where one, we had blue left in the tree when we took the background out, so we made extra leaves. With the tulip, we added a flower with a clone. We have used the blur. And so the next thing I want to show you is the main thing that you're going to do in this assignment, and that is using the lasso tool, where you're going to grab a head of one animal and you're going to put it on the body of another animal to make your hybrid animal. And so what you'll see on my screen is a baby seal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of a dog and I'm going to lasso out the head and I'm going to put it right on the seal. And then I would find some fancy name for him. At the moment, might just be seal pup, whatever, but I would rename my animal. And so let's start. I've just opened this image. I saved it to my computer. I went to File, Open, and then I just brought it in from my drive like we've done with other things so far. Over here, I know I need to double click the lock. I want to make sure I name my layer, so I'm just going to say seal background. And there he is. Now, when I go to bring in the dog, I don't want to hit File, Open. I don't want to make another background. I want to add a layer. So when you bring another picture in, I want to go to Layer, and then you can either open it up from your computer as a layer, or you could actually have a URL if you had one on the internet that you wanted to do. For our assignment, I would like you to save both animals to your computer so that you can just hit this open image as a layer. So when I open the image as a layer, there's my dog. I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to come up here in a second on the side. There it is. And I want to name this layer right away. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to call it dog. And then remember from an earlier video, I know which layer I'm working on depending where the blue banner is, the highlight. And so right now it's on the seal layer. I want to work with the dog. When I've been playing around, I found it easiest and not confusing for me. So you might want to try, if I unclick the background, I'm just going to work with my dog layer. If I want to make it bigger, I just hit Control plus. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over and get the lasso tool here. And like a lasso, it's meant to grab something and bring it in. So I'm going to come over and you can see like the little lasso. This is something you want to take your time doing. I'm going to do it rather quickly to show you how it works. But the next couple steps, this in the erase, you really would want to take your time. But how it works is I'm just going to click and I'm going to drag right along. And I know I'm not getting right up next to him, but I'll show you that I can get rid of the extra that I don't want. So I'm just going to go right around here. When I get back to the beginning and I let go, you'll see that it is the moving lines, kind of like it was when we used the wand. Now watch what happens if I hit I don't want to hit backspace yet, because watch what happens. It's going to actually get rid of the dog head. So if I hit backspace, that's not what I want. I want the dog head. So I mean, edit, undo. So when you have lassoed it, what you want to do is you want to go to Edit, and you want to go to Invert Selection. So that means when I hit the backspace, it's going to keep the dog head, and it's going to get rid of everything else. If I hit backspace, now I have just the dog head. I'm going to go to Edit, Deselect All. I'm done with that. And I'm going to go on my pointer here, my Move tool. And now I'm going to hit Control and make it just a little bit bigger. And what I want to show you now is I can clean up where I lassoed out the dog head by going here for the eraser. And you'll see that I can get different sizes of brushes. This one's a blur. If I wanted to have my image kind of blur into the other image, I can blur the lines. I can make it crystal clear with a circle. I can use a square that's crystal clear, or I could use shapes if I wanted to make it fancy. For mine, I want to make it sharp, and I think because I'm already pretty close to the dog, I would want a smaller brush. If I was going to take this, see that's 100, that would be for a large area, and right now it's on blur. I'm going to go, I think 15, let's go 15 brush size. It's still kind of big, but I'll try. Again, just like the lasso, you would want to take your time, but I'm going to go rather quickly so I can show you how it works. So if I click and I start to drag, it's going to get rid of what I don't want. I'm going to go around here, and then I'll get a smaller brush in a minute to make it even more clean. Like I said, this is something you want to take your time on and not zip through like I'm doing. But I think you'll get the idea. Okay. So I want to get a smaller brush because I didn't get in his ear. So here I don't want any of this white. So I'm going to get all of that out. Get rid of some of this brown from his body. And again, I'm just clicking and dragging. And again, you'd want to really take your time on this so it looks as nice as possible. You want it to look, we want this to mesh with that seal as seamlessly as possible. Getting his other ear. Okay, so again, looks pretty good. You would take a lot more time than I did. And so now we're ready. And so what I want to do is I want to see what it looks like on the seal body. So before I took off the seal background because, oops, edit undo. If that happens, just hit edit undo. Go back to my click. I want to see what it looks like on the seal, so I'm going to click back in and say, give me back my background. And I want to control and then, oops, take it back out here, control negative. So now you'll see, again, I've selected my move tool. I can click it and I can drag his head. And you can tell that we're going to need the head to be a little bigger. So what I want to do here is I want to make his head bigger. So I go to edit and I want to go to free transform, and I get a box up. And so what I can do is I can, like any other things that we've worked on, if I click, I can make it bigger. I can pull that way. I can pull this way. I can, do you see how if I go up towards the corners, my arrow turns to like a little circle there? If that means if I click it, I can tilt his head. When I click off, it's going to say, do you like it where it is? Yep, for the moment, save it. I want to move it again. And I think that looks pretty good. I mean, in a quick fashion, I would want to take more time. He's got some white chin hairs, a little bit of white still left here. But for your purposes, I have 2 layers. I have cleanly taken the dog head and I've lassoed it and I have put it on the seal. And then I just went to edit, free transform, and I was able to make his head bigger to fit the seal body. And so now I'm good, and I can move on to my next step where you have to then name it so that I could come in and, put in my text and I could name him up here and add my characteristics. I could change the background. You could smudge it. You could bring in a new background. You could cut out this and put a color behind it. You can do lots of things that we've already practiced with, but as far as the head swap, that's how you do it. So go ahead and give it a try, and then you're pretty darn close to then going out, finding the 2 animals that you want to do, and you're going to lasso one head and put it on the bottom of the other.